the people who respect you the most will rarely ever tell you. In a world obsessed with loud praise and superficial validation, true respect has become a silent currency. It's not wrapped in flatteries or delivered in public speeches. In fact, human psychology suggests that genuine respect is often disguised as hesitation, subtle boundaries, or even a sudden quietness when you enter a room. Most people spend their entire lives misinterpreting these hidden signals. They mistake a person's caution for coldness or someone's careful listening for indifference. But when you understand the hidden architecture of human behavior, you realize that people are constantly screaming their admiration for you without ever making a sound. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Before we begin, I'm curious, what time is it where you're watching from right now? And tell me what country you're watching from. I always find it fascinating to see how people from different parts of the world connect through the same human experiences. When you speak, they don't just listen. They aggressively protect your right to talk. In social dynamics, conversation is a battleground for status. Dominant personalities constantly interrupt to assert power. However, when someone secretly respects you, their psychological priority shifts from competing with you to absorbing you. If someone else tries to talk over you, a person who respects you will actively intervene, redirecting the attention back to you. They value your mind more than the social noise. Imagine you're at a crowded dinner party. You start sharing a story, but halfway through, a louder person cuts in with a joke, completely hijacking the thread. Most people will just drift to the new topic, but the person who respects you will wait for the laughter to die down, look directly at you, and say, "What were you saying before? You were talking about the trip?" Think about your social circle. Who are the ones who let your voice drown in the noise, and who are the ones who act as an anchor, pulling the spotlight back to you when the world tries to push you aside? It's a beautiful, subtle shield. But while protecting your voice is one thing, how they treat your flaws when you aren't around reveals something much deeper. They unconsciously adopt your micro-habits, vocabulary, and even your pacing, but only the parts of you that represent control. Psychologists call this mirroring, and it's a foundational element of human rapport. We mirror those we desire to be close to. But secret respect introduces a highly selective form of mirroring. They won't copy your nervous tics or your casual slang. Instead, they will subconsciously mimic your posture of confidence, use specific, profound words you've used, or adopt your calm approach to stressful situations. They are treating your behavior as a blueprint for self-mastery. You might notice a coworker who used to be highly reactive suddenly taking a long, deliberate breath before answering difficult questions. A habit you have practiced for years. They never acknowledged it. They never complimented your composure. But their behavior has quietly reshaped itself in your image. Have you ever noticed someone close to you suddenly using a unique phrase that only you used to say? It's easy to think it's just a coincidence, but it is often the psychological fingerprint of admiration. Yet, copying your demeanor is easy. The real test of hidden respect happens when you make a mistake, leading us to a paradox most people completely misinterpret. They don't offer you cheap compliments, and they rarely participate in the collective flattery that others throw your way. Human nature dictates that when we don't respect someone, we appease them. We offer empty praise because it's low effort and keeps the peace. We tell them what they want to hear. But when we highly respect someone, we view them as an equal or even a mentor. Offering cheap flattery to someone you truly respect feels insulting, like giving a fake diamond to an expert jeweler. They will hold back their praise, offering it only when it is profoundly earned. You finish a project or a presentation. Everyone in the room claps and says, "Great job! Amazing!" It feels good, but it's empty. The person who secretly respects you stays quiet. Later, in private, they approach you and say, "The way you handled that specific objection in the third slide was brilliant. Are you chasing the loud applause of the crowd? Or have you learned to look for the quiet, targeted validation of the few who actually understand the weight of what you do? This private intensity doesn't stop at compliments. It manifests in a much more vulnerable way when the conversation turns to the future. They remember the casual, throwaway details of your life that even you forgot you mentioned. The human brain is an efficient filtering machine. We discard 99% of the mundane data we encounter daily. We only retain information that holds emotional significance to us. When someone secretly respects you, every word you speak is categorized by their brain as high-value data. They don't just hear your words, they file them away. Months ago, you casually mentioned in passing that you prefer a specific, obscure brand of tea because it reminds you of your grandmother. You thought nothing of it. Months later, you visit their office or home, and without a word, they hand you that exact tea. No grand announcement. No, look what I did for you. Just a quiet acknowledgement of your identity. It's a haunting realization when you notice someone remembers your passing thoughts better than your closest acquaintances do. It forces you to ask, who is truly paying attention to the substance of who you are? If you're still watching, chances are you've experienced at least one of these situations yourself. You've felt that strange, unspoken tension where you know someone values you deeply, even if the words haven't been spoken. Let's look at the next sign, because it deals with a hidden dynamic that most people mistake for hostility. They are willing to tell you an uncomfortable truth, even if it risks making you angry. Most people are social cowards. They would rather let you fail or look foolish than endure the temporary awkwardness of correcting you. They protect their own comfort over your growth. A person who secretly respects you does the exact opposite. Because they hold your potential in high regard, they cannot bear to see you operate beneath it. They will deliver truth without the sugarcoating, not to hurt you, but because they believe you have the emotional maturity to handle it. You are letting a bad habit slide, or perhaps you are treating someone unfair in your life. Your friends laugh it off or make excuses for you, but this specific person stops you. They look you in the eye and say, "You're better than how you're acting right now." It stings. It feels like an attack. But in reality, it is the ultimate act of devotion. We live in an era of toxic positivity. Ask yourself, who in your life loves you enough to tell you that you are sabotaging yourself? Those are the people who respect your future. But as intense as their honesty can be, their respect also shows up in what they don't do when you are completely vulnerable. The moment you say no or set a boundary, their attitude doesn't change, sour or become passive-aggressive. They immediately adapt. To a manipulator, a boundary is an obstacle to be bypassed. To an insecure person, a boundary is a personal rejection. But to someone who respects you, your boundary is an instruction manual on how to value you. When you tell them no, they don't test the fence. They don't try to guilt trip you. Their psychology immediately registers your boundary as a marker of your self-worth, and they respect you more for having it. You tell a friend or colleague that you cannot help them with a project this weekend because you need time for yourself. An average person might sigh, hit you with a, "Are you sure? I really need you," or ghost you for a week. The person who respects you simply nods and says, "Understood. Enjoy your time off. We'll tackle it Monday." Pay close attention to how people react when you take away your availability. Their reaction tells you everything you need to know about whether they value what you provide or who you are. Now, we approach the most profound sign of all. It is the one that happens entirely in your absence, in the dark corners of social gossip, where reputations are either built or destroyed. The most powerful sign of secret respect is the defense of your name in rooms you haven't even entered. Human nature loves a villain. When a group gathers and someone's name is brought up, the natural dark gravity of social bonding usually leads to gossip, envy, and tearing that person down. It's an easy way for insecure minds to feel superior. But when someone secretly respects you, your reputation becomes an extension of their own honor code. When the knives come out and people start whispering about your flaws, the person who respects you becomes a wall. They don't need to throw a dramatic tantrum. They will simply change the temperature of the room. They will say, "I've always found them to be incredibly fair," or simply, "They aren't here to defend themselves, so let's talk about something else." They don't do this to win your favor. They don't do it so you'll find out and thank them. In fact, you will likely never know it happened. They do it because their respect for you is integrated into their own character. They cannot allow someone they admire to be diminished, because doing so would diminish their own values. To be respected to your face is a social courtesy. To be respected in your absence is a spiritual truth. Human nature doesn't change. What changes is your ability to recognize it. The moment you stop looking for respect in loud applause, flashy compliments, and constant agreement, you begin to see it for what it truly is: a quiet, steady, and sometimes uncomfortable alignment. The people who truly value you are not the ones trying to impress you. They are the ones who treat your time, your words, your boundaries, and your absence with absolute reverence. Stop begging the world to notice you and start noticing the few who already see you clearly. Now, I want to hear from you. Which part of this video resonated with you the most? Have you witnessed the defense of your name in your own life? Or perhaps realized you've been that guardian for someone else? And don't forget to tell me where you're watching from and what time it is right now. I read as many comments as possible, and I genuinely enjoy seeing people from all over the world sharing their perspectives. If you enjoy exploring psychology, human behavior, self-mastery, and the hidden patterns that shape our lives, subscribe and join us for the next journey into the human mind. Thank you for watching, and stay grounded.